capture, where ideas arrive. You already have ideas. Everyone does. So we're not going to start there. We're not going to talk about creativity. We're not going to talk about productivity. And we're not going to talk about tools. Instead, we're going to slow this down. Because the problem most people have isn't a lack of ideas. It's that ideas never arrive anywhere safely. So let's begin with a single question. If I stopped you right now and asked, where do your ideas go when they leave your head? You'd probably have an answer. Most people do, but don't answer it yet. Think about the last idea you had today. Not the best one, not the important one, just the most recent one. Where did it actually go? Not where you meant to put it, not where you usually put things, not where you plan to put it later. Where it really went. What was the first place that idea landed outside your mind? Stay with that moment, because this isn't about your system yet. It's about your behavior. That transition, the exact moment an idea leaves your head, happens fast, often without intention, often without awareness. You don't pause and decide. You react. Now ask yourself something more precise. Is that the same place every idea goes? Or does it change? Does it depend on where you are, on what you're doing, on how busy or tired you feel, on whether the idea feels fragile, urgent, or easy to remember? For most people, the answer isn't clean. Ideas scatter. Some get written down immediately. Some get half captured and abandoned. Some live in messages, margins, or tabs. Some stay in your head because stopping feels inconvenient. Some never cross the boundary at all. And that feels normal. But normal isn't neutral, because a pipeline doesn't begin with organization. It doesn't begin with structure. It doesn't begin with optimization. A pipeline begins at the moment an idea is captured. That moment has a name. It's called capture. Capture is the point where responsibility shifts, where the idea stops being something your mind has to protect and becomes something your system can hold. Not perfectly, not permanently, just safely enough that your brain can let go. And here's the part most people underestimate. Capture only works if you trust it. When you place an idea where it goes, do you trust that place enough to stop thinking about it? Or do you keep checking on it? Do you reopen it just to make sure it's still there? Do you rewrite it so it feels safer? Do you move it somewhere else so it won't disappear? Do you keep it active in your mind because you don't trust what happens if you don't? If you don't trust the container, your brain won't release the idea. And when the brain doesn't release, it loops. What looks like productivity becomes tension. What feels like progress becomes repetition. You revisit the same thoughts again and again, not because they're important, but because they're unresolved. This is where most pipelines quietly fail. Not because people don't work hard, not because they lack discipline, but because ideas never fully arrive. So let's get honest. If ideas only exist in your pipeline once they're captured, how many ideas have you actually captured? Not how many you've thought about, not how many you almost wrote down, not how many feel meaningful. How many have truly crossed the line from mind to system? Before fixing anything, before choosing tools, before improving your workflow, can you name where ideas really enter your system? And can you say, without defending it, whether you trust that entry point? There's a reason this matters more than it seems. When capture isn't trusted, your mind stays partially open. It never fully hands the idea off. That open loop costs attention, it costs energy, it quietly pulls focus away from whatever you're doing next. You may not notice it at first. It shows up as distraction. as the feeling that something is unfinished, as the urge to keep revisiting the same thought from different angles. Not because the idea is complex, but because it never arrived anywhere safe. This is why people feel busy without feeling clear, why systems feel heavy instead of supportive, why organization never quite fixes the problem. The issue isn't volume, it isn't discipline, it isn't effort. It's that the entry point was never secured. Until an idea fully arrives, the rest of the pipeline can't do its job. That's all this lesson asks. Because until you know where ideas enter, everything downstream is guesswork. In the next lesson, we'll look at what happens after capture. What it means to process an idea once it's safely inside the pipeline, but not yet. Because once an idea arrives somewhere safe, your mind is finally free to move on.